Let's go over what is passive and active reconnaissance, right? So whenever you're doing passive reconnaissance, you're not launching any type of tools or sending any packets to your victim. Just like the word says, passive, you're actually looking offline, to the victim for public information, right? So public records, things like, Google or social media, for example, LinkedIn or Twitter, that will give you tons of different information that is very valuable depending on the scope of your engagement, right? Now, there's a term called open source intelligence or OSINT. And just like the phrase says, open source intelligence is actually data collected from open source public sources, right? And in the GitHub repository that I created for this course and for the other courses in this series, I actually have numerous references about open source intelligence, and I advise you to look at them and become familiar with them. Open source intelligence can actually be used from an offensive perspective and also from a defensive side of the house, right? So in the next few lessons, we will go over how to perform passive reconnaissance using search engines, using public information, out in the internet. We will also explore tools like Shodan, ReconNG, Maltigo, and the Harvester. Now, active reconnaissance is actually whenever you launch those tools and you launch packets and scanners against an infrastructure, right? So in a typical penetration testing environment, whenever you're actually looking for all the services and web applications and other devices in the network, that's whenever you actually launch this type of scanner. Right? In some cases, whenever you're doing just a web application assessment, probably the scope is a little bit narrow. So you may actually be just pointed to an application or a cloud service, and then for you to actually, do the assessment. So in that case, actually also that active reconnaissance is a little bit more narrow in scope, because actually what you're doing is you're doing, browsing through the application, looking at the directories that are there, performing content management and web application framework enumerations and so on, right? So in the next few lessons, we will actually go over those concepts. You will learn how to do web content enumeration, content management systems, things like application frameworks and so on. You will also learn about tools like Nikto, the Burp Suite, also the OWASP-Z application scanner or ZAP application proxy, which for short stands as ZAP, and the open source vulnerability scanner called the OpenVAS.